Hey, we just finished up today here on Wednesday, June 26th in CE Week here at the Metropolitan, the 125th West 18th Street. We're going to head back to the parking garage. So it was a pretty interesting show. Different. It was very small. A lot of startup companies. They did have some big manufacturing companies like Sony, Toshiba, Westinghouse, but I would say what the majority was startup companies.
Yeah, probably because the main floor was all the big guys. The big guys don't give you a lot of swag at a show like this. But then you go downstairs to the first floor, and there's a lot of perks and a lot of friendly faces. And then when you go downstairs to the floor below the first floor, they were kind of new at this, a little nervous about being interviewed, but otherwise it was a pretty cool show. The guys on the first floor are definitely your inventor crowd. The stuff that they were putting out was completely new, weird, unique. So, good stuff, but amateur and a little bit afraid.
Yeah, and it's different. I mean, free food, free Italian ice, free beer, free wine.
Yeah, the gratis bar was nice. Kind of a perk. I don't think it helped them clear out the floor at the end of the day, but it was still a good perk.
Richie got a lot of popcorn.
Yes, I did. I filled my bag, or I filled your bag with popcorn. I'm just crazy like that. I don't know why. I kept putting it in your bag.
Oh, man. Yeah, so we got some good swag, and we got some stuff to review. But one thing, when you go to any of these type of conventions or events, it's a very good idea to get a full night's rest, because sleeping 2-3 hours doesn't really help going to these things. And then you got to drive back. And going to these events, it's good to prepare, like leave early.
It's about a 4-hour plus $40 drive to New York, and then an extra 2 hours sitting in the Lincoln Tunnel.
Well, before the Lincoln Tunnel, and in the Lincoln Tunnel, and after the Lincoln Tunnel.
Which is a good time, because they tell you that that's the, number 3 terrorist target in the United States, so it's fun to just sit there and look at the tiles.
That wasn't just like a fever dream, right?
We got some good interviews. I don't know if the sound actually came out good, but we'll have to check that when we get back.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll be lip syncing those later.
And we got to meet Callie Lewis and John P. We got of Geek Beat TV. We got to interview them. We just met John Velasco of Phone Arena. And was there anybody else? There was nobody else, right?
A lot of nice people with a lot of nice products.
Right. A lot of nice people.
Some pigeons.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, it's not CES, so you can't really compare. So
There was only one football field.
no, I would say a quarter of a
football field. That's not a lot of football fields.
Yeah,
CES, which is 90 football fields stacked.
What would you say the interesting product you saw there?
I like the LCD TVs with the filter removed. That was the end of the day. I like the baggie that holds your phone. That's a good idea. I've done that, but Ziploc isn't as good as polyurethane. And let's see, what else was...
Yeah, pretty sturdy. I mean, the guy stepped on it.
Yeah, I really like the stuff on the first floor that I was making fun of, even though those guys weren't particularly adept at being interviewed. Their stuff was cool.
Right.
I like the pure startup. Oops.
Things we lost.
I don't know where we are.
All right, so now we're on 7th. 7th, we're walking back to the parking lot.
We're somewhere.
And I think we're walking, 2 miles?
Something like that. New York is not very big. We can't get too lost.
So once again, when you do go to these events or conventions, or always plan ahead, get enough rest, bring good walking shoes, clothes that you feel comfortable in.
Yeah. Any sleep before a long drive.
Yeah, a lot of sleep. That's the most important thing. Sleep. Eat before you actually go out.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheese. If you want cheese, they definitely have a lot of cheese at these things. There's cookies, lots of cookies, and mostly cheese. I had a lot of cheese today. Jalapeno cheese and white cheese and orange cheese.
And the beer was free. Hey, you can't complain. Beer and the wine.
That made up for the cheese. Are we going the right way?
I don't even know. What's your GPS?
GPS says recharge me.
We are here on 31st Street and 7th Fashion Avenue, Madison Square Garden.
The site of Pennsylvania Station. Destroyed. So sad. Let's see if we can find the eagle.
The eagle?
Yeah, the eagle's at the entrance of Penn Station. This is the eagle that stood at the corners of the entrance of Pennsylvania Station, built by McKim, Mead, and White. The eagle stands today as a memory to the fact that the entire Historic Preservation Act in the United States started when they destroyed the station that stood here, because it was actually a really bad idea. That was a terrible... Yeah,
little trivia there.
Right. If you walk into Pennsylvania Station today and go downstairs, you can find the original concourse steps that led to the tracks. They're still in the station, but there's only 2 or 3 of them remaining. Yeah, one of the most glorious Romanesque buildings ever created was standing on this spot, and they tore it down to build a glass box. And New York has never recovered.
The glass box is called
Madison Square Garden. And they have never recovered from the shame of what they did. But they have gotten a lot of money, so. Here we have, this is the other eagle of Pennsylvania Station. I'm not sure if there's 2 or 4, but at this point, there was a movement to actually go to Fresh Kills and dig up the remains of the original Pennsylvania Station. And it almost happened, except that on September 11, 2001, they knocked down the World Trade Center and they buried the World Trade Center on top of the remains of Pennsylvania Station. So at this point, it's never going to happen. But this was the site of one of New York's most beautiful pieces of architecture.
And how many total eagles were there?
It was somewhere between 10 and 20, I think. And then there were 2 other statuaries that were famous. One of them still exists, and the other one is in Fresh Kills, and I've forgotten the name of them. But it was 2 women on either side of the clock. It was at the front and back of the station. Not a very good historian, I can't remember the name.
Right now.
Okay, so we walk a couple of blocks in that direction, which is not where we're going.
Which direction?
Somewhere down there, down where the sun sets. We're not going that way. The old post office is on the other side of these buildings, and the old post office was built in a sympathetic style to the original Pennsylvania Station, not by the same architect, but it was built to match. And today, they're talking about moving Pennsylvania Station into the old post office, because the post office is pretty much dead, and the railway still has some life to it, and they want to preserve the memory of the original Pennsylvania Station, but they don't have the money to tear down Madison Square Garden and rebuild it. So they're thinking about converting the old post office into a museum based on Pennsylvania Station, the one that was torn down, that was standing on this spot until the 1970s.
Thank you, Richie. Okay, so we got Macy's here. It's the original Macy's.
Yeah.
Right on 34th Street. 34th and, what's that, 7th?
7th Avenue.
7th Avenue. It's the original Macy's.
It's called Fashion Avenue.
Fashion Avenue. Good. Let's go down here.
So if we keep walking down, we're going to get to some of the more iconic streets of New York City. 54th Street. Oh God, what's the song? What's the one of the song?
42nd Street.
Yeah, that's probably the one. So 42nd Street is up ahead. 54th Street is up ahead. Broadway, I think. I don't really know New York that well. I'm a technical history, but I don't always know where I am.
So we're here 42nd and 7th Avenue. We're close. Turn on the lights.
Check it out.
Big Walgreens. We're on straight or left?
I think Times Square is left because I remember the Walgreens sign.
Sure.
I'm really not sure.
still here. 30 seconds. Ooh, check it out. Dude, it's Iron Man and Spider-Man.
That is the greatest Walgreens
Oh my god.
ever.
Did you see Iron Man and Spider-Man? Right there. Right there. Right here.
Oh.
Oh my god. Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Take a picture, guys. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
What's up with that? Spider-Man and Iron Man?
I don't know what Spider-Man's problem
They
is.
want... Come on, man. It's a public place.
He's a public defender. You know, in a way, he works for us. Taxes pay his bills. They're
Supposed to be
good.
doing his job, fighting crime. He's complaining about cameras.
Crime fighting has gotten to Spider-Man's head.
Oh look, we got the police department over here.
Is that really the police department?
Looks like a diner. Dude, we got two Spider-Mans.
What? Another one?
Spider-Man and Elmo.
Is Elmo fighting crime?
I don't know. It's pretty awesome.
They discovered that the Times building,
This one here, right?
yeah, the big building on the corner, the Times building after it was modified in the 1960s was ruined, and in order to modernize it to current standards would cost so much more than simply leaving it completely empty and using it as a massive billboard that is its current status. The Times building, that is the name, oh God, what's the word? Nom de plume. I can't think of the word. The namesake of Times Square is not occupied and is actually a gigantic billboard. But it is actually also the most fantastic looking of all the buildings on Times Square. So,
Hey, they got Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, come on.
yeah. That used to be the home of the New York Times. Now there's nobody there.
No one's home. It's a third Spider-Man. Probably one of the worst. He's probably got the worst costume.
8th and
43rd,
45th, she said.
45th. So,
Yeah.
Richie had to use the restroom.
No, I didn't have to use the
Oh,
restroom.
I'm
I
sorry.
stopped in to enjoy the local cuisine,
Ah, got it.
briefly.
So, we went to
Frankie and Johnny.
Frankie and Johnny.
Yes, the local speakeasy, established in 1926, right around the time of Prohibition. According to the article on the wall, which I haven't read, it says something about that.
So they allowed you to go in as long
They were
as
very
you
nice
can,
people, as long as I appreciated the place for what it was, which is very nice.
and that you did a nice
I
review.
took a look around. I checked out everything. There were some nice seats in there. They had a nice bathroom. And I said hi again, and I walked out.
But they allowed you to do it, so you and
Yes,
because
they said come on in and take a look around. They're very nice people.
because
Very nice
you were
restaurant.
going to write a review, right?
Because
or
I'm a
something?
reviewer. I'm a professional reviewer.
And they saw that you were you had
That I
press
have
pass.
a press tag, a press
Of course,
pass.
they missing the press there, but the red is press.
Oh, that I have red, and everybody knows that red line means press. Everybody knows that.
You really went to the restroom in there.
I didn't do that. Where are you going to go in Times Square? I was very polite.
There's the Intercontinental Hotel on 44th and 8th Avenue.
Is it sexually dirty? Or?
No, not at all, because it's for kids.
comedy, right?
But it's
for
funny,
kids.
they stick like all 7 books. Like 7 books. And like,
Wow.
well, at one part of the game, they actually play Quidditch with the crowd. They take a kid up, take 2 kids up onto the stage, and the whole crowd has to do like a beach ball. And you try to get them into the goal. It's like Slytherin versus Gryffindor.
But why are they closed?
I don't know, maybe the box office hours? Yeah,
Monday through Sunday, 12 noon. Yeah. Well, if it's a kids theater, they would be open during the day.
How much are tickets?
Buy tickets by phone.
I know they had a student discount.
Okay. And it was worth it. You saw it twice.
Yeah, it was definitely. I've never laughed so hard.
Hey, so we're here. We're gonna check out the Haunted Potter. It's
Potted Potter.
All 7 Harry Potter books, 70 minutes. So,
And it is by Dan and Jeff.
so the girl that stopped by said she saw it twice, so it must be worth it.
Yeah.
And it's got Time Out London, Critics' Choice, Chicago Daily Herald, New York Magazine Critics, New York Times Critics,
That's some serious high criticism there.
and it's at the Little Schubert Theater box office. Get the
Yeah?
comments there.
Looks good. You gonna go see it?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye. All right. And we know what to do next time we're in New York.
So we're going back. It's Dyer Avenue and 42nd Street.
Yes. There is something to be said about being in New York City, despite the fact that some people say that you will get mugged or killed or something horrible like that, even though I don't hear about that a whole lot, just people say it. You know, I think that's left over from the 80s. But it's nice to be in a place where we were on 45th and the corner of something or other, and we didn't know where we were, and somebody just barked out 45th. Because that would not happen in D.C. Nobody talks to you in D.C. It's nice to be acknowledged for existing.
I think people don't talk to you in D.C.?
Yeah, well, they say different things to you.
Like,
This is on a road.
like what?
Well, I will say that if you acknowledge them first, they tend to be very nice. But most people don't acknowledge anybody first. So when you're here, everybody seems to acknowledge you first. If you make your, if you leave yourself open to acknowledgement, somebody's going to notice you. And it's not going to be because they expect to scare you into giving them money, which happens a lot around the Smithsonian. They might be trying to convert you. They might be trying to make you accept their religion, whatever it is, whatever sign they're holding, but it's still
Doesn't work like that.
kind of interesting to have people actually make eye contact with you, not look at the floor. It's different. Maybe you get tired of it.